Who is this super YouTuber? Is it Paul, the Joy Toy Collector? Andy, the Newcastle United fan? Jamie, the GoBot hater? Alexis, the salesman? Rohan, the man with the plan and the Wall of Fame? Might just be Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Oh, he's so fly, a groovy guy with a beard that just won't stop. When the bots get rough, he's super tough as third party cleans up. Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Hello everyone and welcome back to Rohan's Corner, and this week I have decided I want to talk about the reveals. I know that the guys have already shown them on the show and will no doubt be discussing them, but there are some tasty bits to discuss. It's probably the first time I've been excited about Transformers reveals from the guys at Hasbro on their live Transformers stream for some time, and that's because obviously, a lot of the time we're starting to see a lot of these reveals getting usurped by third-party YouTube reviewers showcasing a character or a new toy before it's actually been revealed by Hasbro. That's one thing. Then there's obviously the official marketing channel of Hasbro revealing some of the characters a couple of days before the launch, probably to avoid the same problem as we just discussed. And then on the flip side, there are those characters which we just don't actually care about too much, which get revealed, and I guess those come up and we're like, hey, that's there. But I'm sure someone cares about them. But this time around, we had a plethora, an absolute deluge of new bots and figures that we weren't particularly expecting. Okay, some of them we were expecting. We had the names revealed on TFW and other sources many moons ago, but to actually see them in person has struck up quite a lot of feedback on the community, especially with the likes of the Nemesis, who I think looks absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy both the space shuttle look and also the robot load look, although I do still wish that Hasbro would pluck up the courage to build a base mode figure like the Nemesis, which did not transform into a robot form. And actually, kudos to Jazz Hardy. He sent me an idea for Rohan's Corner for a show to come later, which will all be about Transformers that do not have a robot mode, i.e. vehicles that transform into an animal form that transforms into some weird combined form, whatever is the case, any Transformer that does not have a robot mode. And I think this is interesting. There aren't hundreds of them, but there are a few, and I think that it would be good for Hasbro to start thinking about building some play sets that are transformable. Heaven forbid, let me say, like the GoBots did with the Guardian Shuttle and the Renegade Thruster, which were able to transform into playsets, and you could actually utilize your Transformers or GoBots within those playsets. And that was cool. And where we're living today in this world where we have 700 versions of Optimus Prime to choose from, 25 versions of Jazz to choose from, 17 versions of Beachcomber to choose from. Not that I'm shitting on the new Beachcomber, because he looks good, and heck, he comes with a parrot. That is excellent. What I would say is that, are you guys not bored of seeing the same Generation 1 characters being churned through again and again and again for the past 40 years? Yes, I get that, those bots who can be improved and have been improved and should have been improved, the likes of Ultra Magnus, Ironhide and Ratchet, those figures who never got a good figure in the first place. And also there is a market for updated Generation 1 figures for those people who weren't fans in the first place and have only joined the fandom at a later date because either they were born later or have got into Transformers later. That's absolutely fine, don't get me wrong. But for those of us who've been collecting for 40 years, there are times when I want to see G1 and there are times when I want to see something new. And it's cool to see some of the new characters, the likes of Axel Grease, who's had some polarizing feedback on the community. I think there's quite a lot of love for her from certain aspects of the community who like the color scheme. They like the fact that there's a new female junkie on. They like the fact that, it's a slight retool on Scraphook, which is cool. There are other use cases for this mold, as I've pointed out. I think there's accelerated turbofire in there somewhere. I think there's a massive G2 influence in the color scheme and the head as well. For me, I don't personally think it looks like a Junkion, but I'm willing to forgive that and just call it another bot, Whether or not she ends up being as rare as Kapow making out, we shall have to wait and see. But that is the case that they're putting that out there for now. And at the same time, we're seeing things like Legacy Blitzwing getting a refresh. And Hasbro started to do this recently, the last couple of years. They're doing the leaders over and over again, and it's making me wonder why? Because they sold so well in the first place. I mean, Blitzwing has now been discounted down to 25 quid, I think it is, at Smith's. And he's still hanging around. Seriously, Hasbro, you need to have a think about this, because reissuing a figure which has just been out for the last year to 2 years and has not shifted particularly well doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And we've seen this before with the likes of Earthrise Wheeljack and RC, where they have then stunk up the aisles for many, many eons. And I've got a sneaky suspicion that's what's going to happen with Blitzwing, I'm afraid. Because the fan reaction was great for the rework mode, but the other two modes not so good, and he just does not warrant the £55 leader class price point, in my humble opinion, especially as a reissue. So there we go. But on the whole, yes, really excited about the reveals, really happy to see lots of new things coming out. That's great. And are we really living in the golden age? I think we've said this many times, and I've said it myself, that we really are living in the golden age of Transformers right now, with Hasbro bringing out all these characters that we never thought we would see, all these updated models of figures that we mentioned before, which had been done badly in the past, and we never thought we would see a good version of them. But now with the likes of the Hero Born 2-pack, those exclusive characters that were only in a couple of episodes, Orion Pack's in 2, and Alpha Trion was in several, to be fair. But now with the Dion and Ariel pack, we're going to see those two coming out. They were only in 1 episode. There is a scope for huge numbers of other characters, like Devcon, who only got 1 episode, to start getting the limelight, and human characters, which I've been banging on about for some time. Hasbro make action figures which are based on the likes of G.I. Joe. Why can they not turn some of these into human characters for the Transformers series? I don't know, but they should do it. There are 30, 40 base coat characters that could be created in that. And I, for one, would be going out there to collect them as part of my new playsets. Hint, hint, to pick up. Anywho, there are so many more. I'd like to know who you would like to see. Which are the random, rare figures from which lines that never got a toy, never got a good toy, that you'd like to see Hasbro do next? Let us know here on the show. And finally, to wrap up for this week, we have the next installment of Dinobot War for you. So, the winner of last week's contest was page 36, and we move on as follows. Sludge carries you through the marshes. His large feet are well suited to the ground, and it does not take long to reach the scene of the disturbance. As the mists roll back, you see 2 robot warriors locked in combat. The larger is a mechanical Tyrannosaurus. He seems more powerful than the sleek cat-like robot he's fighting, but the latter moves with such ferocity and grace that the Tyrannosaur's snapping jaws cannot strike home. "This is Grimlock, our leader," murmurs Sludge, referring to the Tyrannosaurus. "He should be able to beat Ravage." But Sludge has spoken too soon. Grimlock, stepping back to avoid Ravage's attack, fails to notice a mud pool just behind him. He plunges into the marsh. As he struggles to wade free, Ravage takes aim with his deadly proton missiles. Sludge hesitates. He knows he must act to save Grimlock, but he does not know what to do. If you think that Sludge should charge Ravage, turn to page 43. If you think he should stamp the ground with his massive foot, turn to page 44. I have a funny feeling I know which one's going to win this week. So there we have it, folks. Another episode of Rohan's Corner all wrapped up. I hope you enjoyed. Back to the studio.
Transformers
Rohan's in disguise.